All right.
We have previously noted our strong concerns regarding Russian disinformation and the likelihood that Moscow might seek to create, a false flag operation to initiate military activity. Now, we can say that the United States has information that Russia is planning to stage fabricated attacks by Ukrainian military or intelligence forces as a pretext for a further invasion of Ukraine. One possible option the Russians are considering, and which we made public today, involves the production of a propaganda video, a video with graphic scenes of false explosions depicting corpses, crisis actors pretending to be mourners, and images of destroyed locations or military equipment, entirely fabricated by Russian intelligence.
Fabricated.
To be clear, the production of this propaganda video is one of a number of options that the Russian government is developing as a fake pretext to initiate and potentially justify military aggression against Ukraine. We don't know if Russia will necessarily use this or another option in the coming days. We are publicizing it now, however, in order to lay bare the extent of Russia's destabilizing actions towards Ukraine and to dissuade Russia from continuing this dangerous campaign and ultimately launching a military attack. Russia has signaled it's willing to continue diplomatic talks as a means to de-escalate, but actions such as these suggest otherwise. We will continue to diligently work together with our allies and partners to expose Russian disinformation and other hybrid tactics used against Ukraine. We continue to work to prevent any effort Moscow might make to justify further military action in Ukraine. We again urge Russia to stop its destructive and destabilizing disinformation campaign, to de-escalate tensions, and to engage in diplomacy and dialogue for a peaceful solution.
Now we get to the fun part. Questions.
Okay, well, that's quite a mouthful there. So you said actions such as these suggest otherwise, meaning they suggest they're not interested in talks and they're going to go ahead with something. What action are you talking about?
One, the actions I've just pointed to. The fact that Russia continues to engage in disinformation campaigns.
You made an allegation that they might do that. Have they actually done it?
Right.
What we know, Matt, is what I have just said, that they have engaged in this activity. In this planning activity, but let me because obviously this is not the first time we've made these reports public. You'll remember that just a few weeks ago.
I'm sorry, made what report public?
If you'll let me finish, I will tell you what report we made public. We told you a few weeks ago that we have information indicating Russia also has already prepositioned a group of operatives to conduct a false flag operation in eastern Ukraine. So that, Matt, to your question, is an action that Russia has already taken.
It's an action that you say that they have taken, but you have shown no evidence to confirm that. And I'm going to get to the next question here, which is, what is the evidence that they? I mean, this is like crisis actors, really. This
I am
like
the
Alex
evidence.
Jones territory you're getting into.
Did you hear that?
This is like
Alex Jones. They called him Alex Jones.
Shut up for a second.
Actors, really. This is like Alex Jones territory.
Yeah, Alex Jones territory.
What evidence do you have to support the idea that there is some propaganda film in the making?
Matt, this is derived from information known to the U.S. government, intelligence information that we have declassified. I think you know.
Okay, well, where is it? Where is this information?
It is intelligence information that we have declassified.
Well, where is it? Where's the declassified information?
You said that.
I just delivered it.
That's
I just declassified it.
You have the evidence now. Just rewind, and that's it. I am the evidence. Okay, so wait, who is this guy?
I think this is Ned Price.
He looks like Ned.
Yeah, Ned Price is the spokesperson for the State Department, and then AP reporter Matt Lee. Very circular though. It keeps going like that.
Yeah.
So where's the evidence? I just told you the evidence.
Is there any more?
Yes, there is. Here, we can listen to a little more.
Okay.
No, you made a series of allegations and statements.
Would you like us to print out the topper? Because you will see a transcript of this briefing that you can print out for yourself.
That's not evidence. That's not evidence. I'm sorry.
What would you like, Matt?
I would like to see some proof that you that you can show that
Matt, you have
that,
been.
that shows
you-
that shows that the Russians are doing this. Ned, I've been doing this for a long
I know that was
time,
my point.
as
You have been doing this for quite a while. You know
I
that
have.
when we declassify intelligence
That's
information,
right. And I
we
remember
do so in a
WMDs
means
Iraq.
we do
And
so
and
with an
remember
eye to
that-
protecting
that
sources and
Kabul is
methods.
not going to fall. I remember a lot of things. So
This guy's getting
where is the
grilled.
declassified information
Uh-huh.
other than you
Ned.
coming out here and saying
Matt, I'm sorry you don't like the format, but we have
it's not the
declassified.
format, it's the content.
I'm sorry you don't like the content. I'm sorry
It's
you.
not that I
I'm
don't
sorry
like
you
it,
are
we're
doubting the information that is in the possession of the U.S. government.
No,
What I'm telling you is that this is information that's available to us. We are making it available to you in order for a couple reasons. One is to attempt to deter the Russians from going ahead with this activity. Two, in the event we're not able to do that, in the event the Russians do go ahead with this, to
This is
make it
amazing.
clear as day, to lay bare the fact that this has always been an attempt on the part of the Russian Federation to fabricate a pretext.
I like he's setting this up to where if the false flag event doesn't happen, it's because they disclosed this briefing and
Because
they're
they
like,
saved
oh,
the world.
we can't do it anymore. They caught us.
That's the least of the hypocrisy of accusing Russia of destabilizing Ukraine.
Yeah. This keeps going for another 6 minutes. Do you want to keep listening?
Well, so maybe later. Like, so what's so this guy he works for the State Department, and they're basically saying we have proof that Russia is going to engage in kind of a propaganda, like kind of a false flag attack. They're going to release some videos of a bunch of dead soldiers, I guess, and they're going to say the Ukrainians killed them. We got to go in.
That's right. Yeah, they'll stage some
Okay.
event where Ukrainians kill a bunch of Russians, and like, well, now we just have to invade Russia.
Which
And the U.S. is saying this is going to happen, but as our reporter here, Matt Lee, has pointed out, is like, okay, what's your source? What's the evidence that you think this is going to happen?
Yeah.
all that Ned Price here can tell us is, well, I just told you that's the information. You have to just trust me, bro.
Well, on the face of it, it makes like I could see Russia doing that. I mean, that's because I could see the
us
US doing it.
that,
Yeah, that's why. I mean, it's not crazy that they would make that claim, but I guess just knowing the history of what's been going on and how the US has just no business to be there whatsoever is the real story there, that the US is acting like Russia's the one that's being sneaky, engaging in all these destabilizing actions.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, the U.S. is supporting, the actual, neo-Nazis in Ukraine to destabilize it over there. That's, the U.S. is doing it. So
Do you want to elaborate on that?
So I'll do the best I can. I mean, I think this is why we need to have Freeman on to talk about it. We're planning on it, but it started with Yanukovych, which was the prime minister that Manafort was, because when he was over there with the Party of Unions or whatever, he got busted for doing like campaign stuff over there.
So is
The
this
guy that-
2016 we're talking about?
Earlier than that, I think it was like it was in the early 2010s, 12, 13, 14, like that kind
Okay,
of
so
area. Well, that was when the
Obama
election
years.
happened. Yeah, that was when Yanukovych was elected, and he was supportive of he was supportive of the Russian. He was friendly to Russia, and at the time there was a big debate over whether or not Ukraine was going to join this economic alliance with Russia or join the EU. And the United States, it got really close to when they needed to decide, okay, which economic group are we joining? And they, when it came time to sign to actually join, he fled and he went to Russia because of the political strife. It was looking like there might have been a coup or something like that. And so under the pressure, he went to Russia. And this is when it all kind of got exposed. This is when the Russians decided to tell the entire world, this is what the United States has been doing. They leaked a bunch of audio and a bunch of tapes showing all you have to do is go on YouTube and look this up. It's called F the EU. If you look it up, there are these two ambassadors who work for the U.S. They were caught having a conversation on the phone talking about who are we going to position to take over the spot of the prime minister who fled, and how do we make sure it's this guy that we want, because ultimately we want Ukraine to join NATO. That's what it's all about. The U.S. ever since George Bush Sr., ever since the Soviet Union fell and George Bush Sr. and his administration pledged to the Russians. So let's rewind a little bit. After the Soviet Union fell, there was this mad scramble to figure out which countries in the Eastern Bloc, the Soviet breakaway republics, how are we going to have these countries joining our respective military alliances, NATO, which already existed, and the new Russia military alliance. And they were jockeying for which countries were going to add to which alliance. And if you've ever played Civ, that's a real stressful kind of situation, because if you get countries that are joining an alliance and friendly to you close to your enemies, it starts to create this tension. And Russia came to the table with this big concession. They said, you can add Germany into NATO, and we are not going to fight you on it whatsoever. It's yours completely. But if you do this, if you agree to this, you are not going to, what they said, they're not going to move 1 inch east of Germany. So you can't touch any of these countries east of Germany. No, none of these countries can join NATO. If you try to have one of these countries join NATO, we're going to consider it an act of aggression. So everything was fine until the next administration, Bill Clinton, came along. And that's what happens in the United States. We make these deals with all these countries that last 4 or 8 years, and then they shred that up, throw it in the trash, and you have to start all over again. And so Bill Clinton comes in, and immediately they start adding countries east of Germany. And let's punch up the map right now of NATO, the members in NATO. And so Russia is sitting here screaming, that you're breaking the agreement, and but nobody's listening to them. Let me see if we can find a map of NATO. Let's see.
Here we are.
North Atlantic. Do you have one?
Yep.
Punch it up. And you can see how
so blue is NATO, and you're pretty much at Russia's doorstep here.
Yeah. So the United States made this agreement with Russia, and then they immediately threw it in the trash the next day. And so now Ukraine, which is that green blob right there, right on Russia's border, that is where the squabble is. And the United States was caught. So anyway, fast forward. Finally, we get
this
to
is
Ukraine.
the equivalent of like someone trying to make Mexico part of the USSR, right?
Yeah. So remember when we got really mad that they were moving like rockets into Cuba, and how upset we were that they were trying to be friendly with this country that was right next door, and how we freaked out? Well, look at this. So, they got Turkey in there. They've got, Poland. They got all the countries, that. So anyway, so from Russia's point of view, the United States is being incredibly aggressive, and the United States is acting like we can do whatever we want. And now they finally get to Ukraine, which is their access port to the Black Sea, where they get fuel up from the Middle East and Syria. So you see the Black Sea. And what's that? You see that little floating island right there below that green blob? Do you know what that is? Crimea. Yes, exactly. So they released this video of this U.S. ambassador talking to this other ambassador. How can we make sure that the next person who's replacing Yanukovych, the disgraced prime minister who fled, how do we make sure it's this guy? So they'll add Ukraine into NATO. They released this audio on YouTube. Russia did. They recorded their phone call, released it on YouTube as evidence that this is definitely a coup. The United States is trying to add Ukraine into NATO. And then it's kind of a weird thing, because it briefly kind of made the news, but the news did something really sneaky where they made the story about profanity, because during the phone call, one of the ambassadors said, "Fuck the EU." And so it was like, he, somebody's saying fuck on a, official US phone call. And the real story just blew right by everybody. How what was really going on was a leaked coup that was being exposed. And ever since then, it's been, and so Obama was at that point, they supported, like openly supported the Ukrainian kind of rebel groups, the groups that were trying to overthrow, they were doing they say they're doing it in the name of defending Ukraine from Russia. But one of those actual groups, if you look it up, they're actual Nazi skinheads. The group of, so that's where we're getting full circle, where if you actually look up
classic Chris explanation. Hey, do you mind briefly explaining what you mean by neo-Nazis? Well, let me give you the history of U.S., Russia, NATO, Ukraine relations.
Well, when we get to Ned, where that's my ultimate beef is Ned talking about how Russia's the real problem here, and now we finally have a situation where actual Nazis, we found Nazis, like real Nazis, none of these
in the Ukraine. Yep.
Yeah, none of these American, they don't admit that they're Nazis, but we know that they're Nazis. Like American Nazis are, far right. They say they're not Nazis, but they sure sound a lot like Nazis. But these are actual skinheads. They're doing the Zeke Heils and everything, and the U.S. has been giving them money and weapons, rockets, all these things to, I guess. Because I guess the Ukrainian military
enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Well, I guess the Ukrainian military is, I guess they consider Ukraine, the government, to be compromised. And so they want, I guess that's what's going on. That's what we need, I guess, Freeman to explain to us. Like, what exactly are these like rebel groups? What's the purpose of what they're doing? But it's all about trying to screw over Russia, because we didn't stop fighting the Cold War. Russia stopped fighting, but we kept fighting this whole time.
So now Russia's in the spot where they have to kind of fill those old shoes, because even though they stepped out of them thinking, okay, this game's over, communism's done, USSR's gone, the US was still like, well, we built this nice NATO. I mean, it'd be a shame if we just wasted it. Can you guys just pretend like you're the USSR? I mean, that'd be great.
I don't see any other reason behind it besides military industrial complex. The military contractors, they want it to keep going so they can keep selling weapons. But I think the U.S. government is also kind of locked in this obsessive pursuit of regional dominance as in of itself as being a good thing, without thinking through, like, why exactly are we doing this?
Right.
They're kind of locked in this space of the United States has to continually just keep dominating. What have you got here?
Oh, this is the FDU.
Oh, well, let's hear it.
All right, let me get the volume.
It would be great, I think, to help glue this thing and have the UN help glue it. And, the EU.
No, exactly. And I think we've got to do something to make it stick together, because you can be pretty sure that if it does start to gain altitude, the Russians will be working behind the scenes to try to torpedo it.
The video has
it's boring, but that was it, man.
If you know the context, it's a bombshell. Otherwise, it's just like, fuck the EU.
Yeah, she said a swear word. And
now this might be another topic for someone who's an expert on Ukraine, but Ukraine is very Russian, right? There's a lot of pro-Russian sympathies. They're very culturally similar. Yes. So like the idea that if Russia were to finally say, okay, you know what, we're going to absorb the Ukraine, it sucks, because obviously the Ukrainians want to be an independent country, just like Taiwan wants to be independent of China. But there's this theory that, well, if they take Ukraine, they're not going to stop until they have France.
Yeah, the Hitler theory. Yeah,
yeah.
The Putin is Hitler theory. Well, I think I don't know. I don't see. So the reason Putin took Crimea, I think, was because
it was Russia's only access to the Mediterranean.
Yeah, and they thought, well, if we're going to lose Ukraine to NATO, then at the very least we can have this one island here, which will let us keep bringing the fuel in. And it's a tiny country, and like you said, the people already maybe consider themselves a little more Russian. But I don't know.
Definitely a very Slavic country.
Nobody died. They just kind of rolled in and said, "This is ours now." but it's weird. I guess on Google, it's still considered part of Ukraine because the elite,
They won't
internet,
let it go.
they're not going to let them have it. So it's kind of weird. If you want to get international recognition now, it has to go through Google and the internet, like kind of elites.
So once Russia does take France, as long as Google doesn't recognize their conquest, we're good, right?
I guess so. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, man. World War II would have been a lot different if we just had Google. It's not
Well,
working.
We need to do a much deeper dive on this with our foreign policy expert. But I think that's a good recap of what's going on. And I thought
Yeah.
that video was just great, just from the point that
Yeah, Ned.
journalists are actually pushing back and questioning. My favorite quote from that was, I remember when y'all told us about WMDs and Kabul won't fall, and both of those were blatant lies. So how do I know this isn't just another line of your lies? I'm not going to take this at face value because we've already fell for your bullshit too many times.
My favorite was how the guy said the transcript of that interview is considered the evidence.
Well, I'll print out the transcript of our talk right now and give it to you. That's the
evidence. This talk is the evidence.
Thanks,
It's
bro.
like I guess he never thought that anybody would challenge him on it or something. Like he obviously can't think
Well,
that.
That's how it used to be.
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
they'd write the article. We tell you what's going on. You write the article. That's period. That's it.
It's maybe that's like something Trump did. They got journalists in the habit of just calling out everything, regardless, and
Mhm.
now they just can't stop.
They
Which
can't stop.
that ain't a bad thing.
Yeah, I guess so. It is interesting to see that. I don't know why you don't see. I mean, I guess I don't know if you see stuff like that in the White House. I guess the press secretary room, they wouldn't let that guy in to talk like that.
No, that whole press secretary room is very curated.
Yeah, it's a movie. All right.
Nothing but softballs and happy birthdays.
So more on Ukraine coming once we get Freeman in here. Okay. So let's I say we should move on to the topic of the day. What do you think?
Yeah. And which topic is that? Is it Joe Rogan? Is it what is it?
It's all Joe N-word Rogan over here.
Oh yeah. So what? He said the N-word 15
The
years ago.
terrible anti-science racist over here.
Somebody find his old Quake 2 transcripts.
Can you hear this?
No, I can't.
Son of a bitch.
I haven't seen his apology, so this will be good.
Okay. Well, you know what he's apologizing for, right?
The N-word, right?
The N-word.
He created it. From
Would
what
we
I've
get in
gathered
trouble?
from Twitter is Joe Rogan created the N-word, and this is just now coming out.
Would it be too risque for us to play the actual compilation video they put together? It's not us saying it.
I don't know.
By the way, anybody who's listening, we've already talked. Me and Nick have decided that our position is much too fragile to start throwing that word around on the internet.
Yeah, you won't hear any N-bombs from us.
Unfortunately, maybe one day. I don't know. What do you think? Would showing the video of someone else saying it, would that be bad? Because I'll be
just play
laughing
it.
the whole time.
Just play it.
It looks fucking horrible, even to me. Hello, friends. I'm making this video to talk about the most regretful and shameful thing that I've ever had to talk about publicly. There's a video that's out that's a compilation of me saying the N-word. It's a video that's made of clips taken out of context of me of 12 years of conversations on my podcast, and it's all smushed together, and it looks fucking horrible, even to me. Now, I know that to most people, there's no context where a white person is ever allowed to say that word, never mind publicly on a podcast. And I
Unless
agree
you're a
with that
lawyer.
now. I haven't said it in years, but for a long time, when I would bring that word up, like if it would come up in conversation, instead of saying the N-word, I would just say the word. I thought as long as it was in context, people would understand what I was doing. Like that context was part of the clip we were talking about Red Fox, how Red Fox said that word on television in the 1970s. and how times have changed so much since then, or about how Richard Pryor used it as one of the titles of one of his albums, or I was quoting a Lenny Bruce bit, or I was quoting a Paul Mooney bit, or I was talking about how Quentin Tarantino used it repeatedly in Pulp Fiction, or I was talking about how a Netflix executive, ironically, used it because he was trying to compare it to another offensive word, and he said it out loud, and they fired him. Not calling anybody a word, just saying the word out loud. I was also talking about how there's not another word like it in the entire English language, because it's a word where only one group of people is allowed to use it, and they can use it.
This is almost 6 minutes long. We're gonna listen to this whole thing, dude. It's hard for
I get it. I get it.
Human frailty just makes me sick. All right. Well,
it is the word of control. We can't say it. If we say it, you're done. You're fired. You're canceled.
I don't have that kind of money.
But
yeah,
it is odd because in the 90s or even before that, it was much more commonplace. And to Joe's point, it's like, if you're not using it in malice, if you're just referencing it, why is it so stigmatized? But
well, it's not, you and I remember, because it wasn't that long ago, you actually could get away with saying it as long as it was either a joke or you were just kind of talking about the word itself. Wasn't that long ago. You could do that. You could actually get away with that. Dude, there is a Joe Rogan stand-up act, and it's my favorite, probably my favorite stand-up act of anything I've ever seen. It's a really old Joe Rogan one, where one of the bits in there is the 3 magic words in the English language, and it's cunt, N-word, and love. But he actually says it like, he doesn't say the N-word, like he actually says it. And it's like one of the funniest bits on the thing. And it's just weird now that he's saying publicly, like, I can't, it's never okay for me to say that. And it's like, it was in one of his stand-up acts. I guess I don't know. Do you think he's really changed in that way, or is this Spotify?
I think
putting
he's
a knife in his ribs.
I think Spotify putting a knife in his ribs.
Yeah,
because you should never apologize for this, because you're apologizing to people who will never accept the apology,
regardless of his inside feelings. Like, maybe let's give him the benefit of the doubt of everything he's saying. He really has changed, and he doesn't want to do it anymore. This is a mistake, right?
Yeah. No, I think anyone who's listened to Joe Rogan knows who Joe Rogan is. I guess unless you picked up his podcast yesterday, you're probably familiar with all this stuff, and you understood the context, and it was no big deal. He didn't lose any fans from that clip, but to anyone who's unfamiliar with Joe Rogan, this is how they see him. So now because he's become much bigger than I think he's ever intended to be, he now has to go on and make this public apology because Spotify is like, look, man, we're about to call back this $100 million contract or whatever they're threatening.
Yeah, what we're watching right now is Joe Rogan is being canceled in front of our eyes. Now, we don't know.
This is the strongest attempt so far, because this is maybe the 3rd or 4th time in the past couple months.
Yeah, well, okay, so yeah, after Trump, I mean, since Trump, the biggest cancelee on the planet, and that took them 4 years to cancel that guy. Because he was they had a little problem. He was the president, but they have who did they cancel since him? I mean, they canceled Louis. That was before Trump. I think they canceled Louis, but they canceled since Trump. Kevin Hart.
They just canceled Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah, well, she'll make it. She'll survive.
And I think it's because she said Jews aren't white. Was that it?
I can't remember. It was something about the Holocaust.
She said the Holocaust wasn't a race thing, and her justification was Jews aren't white. And
she said that?
Or no, Jews are white. So
Jews are white.
In her mind, it was white people killing white people.
Okay, I mean, yeah, it's a pretty. I mean, that's kind of crazy, but I mean, but she'll be okay because of people like Bill Maher and Alec Baldwin, like people who are already kind of inside, like, and liked and accepted by like the the cathedral, like if you're one of their like favorite like gatekeepers, you can apologize, go on an apology tour, and you'll be fine. They'll let you keep your stuff because you're not their enemy. They go after their enemies. Like if their enemies come out, like a guy like Joe Rogan, or if it's somebody they didn't really know before, but basically if you're not in their club, an apology won't save you. Megyn Kelly, Paula Dean, like, you know, if you're one of those people, Louis C.K., somebody who hasn't been accepted by them, you know, not one of theirs. Guys like, you know, this is why Justin Trudeau can have a blackface and he can keep going. He can survive because he's already one of them. So they give them a pass. All they got to do is apologize. But yeah, Joe is the biggest like fish they've tried to eat lately.
And I think it's because he's this big outlook, or he's this spokesperson to be skeptical of these mandates and for alternative treatments, preventative treatments for COVID. I mean, the whole ivermectin debacle with everyone.
That was the last straw.
Everyone's saying it was horse medicine. That's, you know, Joe Rogan was like the dead horse they were beating.
That was the last straw. Like, I think they kind of mentioned how they didn't like Rogan because he had on, he had on a lot of guests that were, that they didn't like. Speaking of, you need to see this. Somebody decided to make a, this is how we know that Joe Rogan's a problem, because his list of guests are so skewed towards the right. And so they built this chart, and it's funny to look through and see how many people they put as right wing who just aren't. And they also forgot Bernie Sanders. But look, dude, they think Eric and Brett Weinstein are right wing, and they're not. They think, I don't know what the hell Tim Pool is, but
he's a grifter.
Pretty
That's
much.
what Tim Pool is.
Yeah, I don't know, but he identifies as left wing. They put Tulsi Gabbard on here.
Sam Harris, Tulsi Gabbard, the Democratic.
Russell Brand. They put Russell Brand on here.
He's not even American.
He's not even human. Yeah. So anyway, I think that's
Carl Benjamin. I guess he's right wing bias. So.
There are a lot of people who do say pretty right wing to me, but I mean, a lot of them. Gad Saad, I don't think he's really political at all.
Elon Musk.
He's just a capitalist. He's just kind of a, he's just like I would call him kind of a liberal, like small government. I don't know. So kind of, mostly, the very few times he doesn't really talk about his politics that much. I think he doesn't really think about that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Going back to Whoopi though, do you know Whoopi Goldberg's real name isn't Whoopi Goldberg, right? No, I did not know that. Yeah, I think it's like Karen Johnson.
Her name's Karen, really?
It's Caryn. Is that how you spell that? Or pronounce that?
Still. I don't know. That's really funny.
She changed it to sound more Jewish so she could succeed in a Jewish dominated industry. So I think the reason she's on leave from The View right now is because she said something critical of the chosen people. Silly Whoopi.
Yeah, the executives went to the set that day.
I gotta find her comments because I remember hearing it and I was like, "That's it."
Find the actual video. So, anyway, while you're looking for that, yeah, that's what we're watching right now. We're watching them try to cancel Joe Rogan, and it's gonna take a while. What do you think the end game is here? Like, where do you think? How far do you think this goes?
They just want to get him out. They want to censor him, man. He's too powerful of a voice that goes against the narrative.
Well, but I'm saying, what happens to it? Where do you think it actually ends up?
I think he, I think he will eventually get forced off Spotify, which I'm okay with because
I agree.
he's the only reason I go to Spotify, so I end up not listening to his show nearly as much as I used to because he doesn't pop up in my normal podcast feed.
Well, he's going to keep making podcasts. It's not like if you're kicked off Spotify, you're done.
He'll go somewhere else.
Yeah,
so we're really talking about like how much money is he about to lose, which is like, oh, poor Joe lost a bunch of millions. He's left only a couple millions now. He'll be fine.
Dude, I thought it was gonna work with Spotify until I saw this. Did you see the memo that the Spotify CEO sent to the employees?
Yeah, because all the employees are like a bunch of babies and freaking out about him constantly.
Well, dude, once I read this, okay, he said, Spotify team, there are no words I can say to adequately convey how deeply sorry I am for the way the Joe Rogan Experience controversy continues to impact each of you. Not only are some of Joe Rogan's comments incredibly hurtful, I want to make it clear that they do not represent the values of the company. It leaves many of you feeling drained, frustrated, unheard. History of using some racially insensitive language. While I strongly condemn what Joe has said, and I agree with his decision to remove past episodes from the platform. So, like, I don't know how their relationship will survive after saying that to the employees, right?
Yeah, it sounds like the tide's turning. So because before they just told the employees to shove it, do your job, and now they're like kowtowing to them.
Yeah. I don't know what are these weird things in our chat showing up here?
I really hate YouTube doesn't give you just the comments. They give you everyone's reaction to the comments.
All right, so did you find it?
Let me check Twitter. It's probably a better source.
All right. So anyway, yeah, I think he probably will get kicked off Spotify. He's being blacklisted the way Alex Jones was, where he's just going to be erased. Those episodes are already off YouTube now. So there's whole episodes that are being cut. So, hopefully Joe doesn't decide to just like completely kowtow and make his show lame, because he could just do that. But ultimately, I think he's going to get off Spotify.
I got this now.
And he's not going to be allowed in any cable news show ever.
Oh, I mean, was he before?
He probably, I think he's been on a couple times. He had a show. He'll never have a show again.
I think he's good. He's good though.
He'll make it. He'll be fine.
The real question is the UFC going to drop him? I doubt it though.
Nah.
All right. Here we go. You ready?
Yep.
No, it's not about race. It's about man's inhumanity to man. That's what it's about. Let's talk about it for what it is. It's how people treat each other.
Inhumanity.
What was going on there, Ben?
God damn it.
What?
Ben Shapiro.
I wasn't here to watch Jew Boy. I'm trying to watch Jew Girl.
It got me. I was listening to the first 10 seconds like, all right, this is it. And then it switches to Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, dude, I hate that. Yeah, you can't just get the raw video. That should always be the first result. That's the world I would want to live in. Dude, yeah, if I made, oh, man, imagine that. If I had a superpower, it would be whenever I look up a video, the first result is always just the unedited feed of it. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah.
I don't want to see anyone else talk about it.
Let's be truthful about it, because the Holocaust isn't about race.
That's the 6-second clip. She goes on to explain that.
Yeah, I don't know how she's going to. I'd want to hear her explanation on that.
Race?
Here we go.
No, it's not about race.
No, it's about a different race.
But it's not about race. It's not about race.
What is it about?
Because it's about man's inhumanity to man. That's what it's about.
But it's about white supremacy.
It's not about ideal race. But these are two white groups of people.
Well, they
have see them as white people.
But you're missing the point. You're missing
just
the point.
two.
The minute you turn it into race,
right?
it goes down this alley. Let's talk about it for what it is. It's how people treat each other. It's a problem. It doesn't matter if you're black or white, because black, white, Jews, everybody eats each other. So is it, if you're uncomfortable, if you hear about mouse, should you be worried? Should your child say, oh my God, I wonder if that's me? No, that's not what they're going to say. They're going to say, I don't want to be like that.
Well, hopefully. I want to be cool.
Yeah,
She's,
and
she's short-circuiting here.
So yeah, she's like, it wasn't about race because this is two white people killing each other. I think that's hysterical.
Because we all know World War
II. Two white people killing each other.
Because we all know World War II was a war against the Jews.
I think
that explains the whole war.
there is a racial component to the Jewish religion, right? Because you have to, your mother has to be Jewish for it to pass on. But like every Jew I know is white passing. Like they're white.
No, dude, no, they're not. They're not the New York Jews, man.
They've all got
Jews? Dude, there's a lot of people who just look Jewish. Like
but I'm like, if you're Whoopi Goldberg and you're looking at two white people, one's Jewish and one's
you're right. They can
from
pass
England.
as white, yeah. There's a lot of white Jews.
To her, she's like, oh, it's two white people.
I guess, yeah. So I guess in her mind, because she only sees Jewish people that look white or are white, probably that converted to, they do look white. I mean, yeah.
It's like Hitler's not killing them because their skin color is black. He's killing them because they have a certain faith, and the race part of that, I don't think that's why he's killing. He was killing them because they're a community of a certain belief.
Yeah, they went after. I mean, they went after way more than just the Jews. I mean, that's the other thing. People. I mean, yeah, I think the Jews probably got the high. They got the high score in the like the Holocaust realm of deaths, but dude, they put everybody in camps.
Yeah, I mean, it was genocide across the board.
Across the board. Obviously, the Jews win. I'm not to take away from that. Like they definitely. I mean, they targeted
overwhelming
them
majority.
Yes, but it was not just them. Hitler had this kind of obsession with how, and he kind of thought that he saw them as being the ones running everything.
Mm-hmm.
And he thought that they were behind communism. They were behind the banks that were, controlling Germany. And
so yeah, in order for you to Whoopi's point, you have to say that the Germans are a race. The German race is superior. It's about German superiority, not just white superiority, because there's clearly a certain kind of white.
There's a kind of white that they wanted. Yes, that's true. Yeah.
All other whites are a problem and need to be killed or subjugated.
Well, it's just a stupid. I mean, it's just it was a stupid point.
Yeah, well, she's trying to say that we need to all be kind and kumbaya, everyone share a Pepsi.
Well, that's true. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. It's not an offensive point, really. It's just a dumb point. Getting
back to why I played the clip. When I heard that, I was like, "That's why they kicked her off the show."
They did?
Yeah, she's like suspended.
Oh, suspended. Okay, well then she'll come back, right? Probably. She'll survive. She's gonna do an apology tour. She'll come back on.
It's not like she jerked off in front of her coworkers on the Zoom call, right? She'll be back. If Toomey got away with that, she'll get away with this.
Although, I mean, hey, she went after the Jews this time. I don't know if you go Mel Gibson, man. Dude, they didn't give Mel Gibson another chance.
Has he made movies since that?
Well, his own movies, but dude, also who the other guy who got canceled, Gary Oldman got canceled.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, because he said basically what I just said, that the reason Mel Gibson reason his career went down was because he went after the Jews specifically, and saying they ran Hollywood and everything. And
Nick Cannon got in trouble for that too, right?
I don't know.
Yeah,
but it's funny because that's how the story goes. It's like you can go after anybody and survive, but you go after them and you don't.
Yeah, I just think it's funny. She made this comment that to her, Jews are just another set of white people, and this is all about just the cruelty of man to each other. And from her, a person who changed their name to be Jewish, so she could succeed in this Jewish industry that is Hollywood.
You sure don't understand a lot about your own kind, Whoopi. Yeah, you might need to. Yeah, you might need to go to, what do they go to, temples?
You've reached my
Jewish
limit.
temple. Yeah, of Jew knowledge.
Of the Jewish people.
Light her candles.
All right.
So what's next?
Affirmative action in the Supreme Court.
Sure.
All right. So, Biden made the proclamation that he's going to appoint a black woman to the Supreme Court if he gets the chance, and well, the chance has appeared. It's Justice Breyer, right? Justice Breyer stepping down?
I don't know. All I know is that Biden pledged that his next hire would be a black woman, which I guess we don't even need to hear the qualification. He just did pretty much. Whenever he picks his next candidate, they're going to who he's going to pick. They're going to list all the great qualities of that and why they are a judge, but we're all going to know that it's bullshit. There's really only one reason. And he said,
to me, it doesn't matter because whoever he appoints and gets in is just going to vote party line anyways. So it doesn't change the dynamics of the court. You just get you get 3 dissenting arguments and 6 concurring arguments. Who cares who wrote them?
Yeah, I'm saying for whoever the judge actually is, that's how she's going to be known on the judge. Like for her entire tenure, all the judges are going to be like, that's the that isn't so and so. That's the black woman judge.
Right.
Was picked because she was a black woman. And it's like, okay, like
at least nobody thinks that about Clarence Thomas because he's Republican, so therefore he's white.
Yeah, he's like Darth Vader, take the helmet off and he's white.
It's so nonsense. But I think the funnest theory that came out of this was Kamala Harris would be his appointee, which I think would be a big win for Biden because he's like, oh, finally I can get a different VP who doesn't suck.
Just promote
and Kamala
her up.
could go back to what she does best, putting people in jail.
Yeah, it'll be just like football, where if you want to get rid of a coach you don't like, you just make him a high up in the athletic department, make him like an analyst. Yeah. He's he's some sort of a manager.
The marketing department for the football team now.
Yeah, congratulations.
Your office is on the other side of campus. I never want to see you again.
Dude, but why? Dude, that's a stupid theory. Kamala is a judge. She's not even a judge.
She was a prosecutor.
Yeah. Well,
that's what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, but I mean, aren't the Supreme Court's justices typically they were already judges at one point?
Don't have to be.
The whole point? Well, no, I don't. They don't have to be, but weren't they all?
Yeah, I mean, but that's just common practice. Doesn't mean it has to be continued. Nothing in the Constitution says you have to be a practicing judge.
Well, right, but like you're picking.
Biden could pick Whoopi Goldberg.
Well, he could, but it's like, don't you just want to? Wouldn't you look stupid for picking somebody who wasn't a judge?
So you just need to vote how you want to.
You could just put Michelle Obama in there, I guess.
The whole thing that's silly to me is that we pretend like justices are all like robots who follow these principles, and there's either right-leaning principles or left-leaning principles. They're just voting party line.
Yeah,
occasionally of the time, one of them toggles back and forth.
Yeah, it's well, or they just don't rule at all.
And most of them are like walking skeletons anyways, and their staff is really the ones running the show. A bunch of 25-year-old interns who want to be judges one day.
Really? How are they running the show?
Because they're doing all the work. You think they write their opinions? That's somebody else comes up to them, they read it, and they rubber stamp it. I bet. That's how it works.
I never thought of that, really.
Yeah. You think these 9 people actually put in the work that like holds together the justice system? No, they've got a whole hierarchy of stooges underneath them that do the actual work. And then they get to have their little oral arguments and then, tell their staff to write up their opinion.
Really? They don't even make the opinion. They're just like, write something, whatever you want, and I'll read it like it's mine.
I don't know if they probably do have a role, but what I'm saying is there's a lot of unelected, unappointed power behind those people of who they hire, who runs their staff, who does their research. And those are the people that, they have a pen on power that nobody even knows their name.
Makes sense. Huh. That's creepy.
Wait, you think Biden's not making decisions? It's the staff underneath him. And it's a big pyramid of people. You have no idea who they are. You didn't vote for them. They're just appointed staff.
Does that have to be a 25-year-old intern, though?
What do you think? Who else would it be?
I don't know. Like, this is the first time I've heard this theory.
Maybe
the
not
Supreme
20
Court justices,
They
the
probably
interns
have-
are doing everything.
They probably have 20-year-old interns and then like some 25-year-old bitch boy who gets paid more than nothing because they probably pay the interns nothing. And then his boss is some 30-year-old guy who's been doing the previous guy's job for 5 years. It's a pyramid. It's probably one big pyramid, and you either get weeded out or you get to move up to shit on the guys below you.
Yeah. Yeah. First, you have to have a drinking contest to get in.
It's called college.
Yeah. Man, dude, being a Supreme Court justice would just be a trip, man.
Yeah. Why
Yeah.
not?
Well, just you're appointed for life. So you basically have to die to lose the office or get impeached, but nobody cares that much to do that.
You don't even have to be good at your job. You can show up and just make up a whole bunch of COVID facts and then just write your opinion how you already predetermined it to be.
Yeah, get the interns to do everything.
Did you hear the oral arguments? Like where Sotomayor is like, there's like 500,000 kids in the hospital right now, and the real number was like 400.
They're just making it up. I bet they're drunk. I bet they're all drunk, dude. I'd be drunk every time.
They're all old boomers who don't understand technology, how technology works, and they have to make decisions about the internet and stuff. Like,
this would be a great show.
Yeah.
The judges, the court.
There is a lot of people put a lot of stock in the Supreme Court. Like, it's this sacred institution. It's better than the legislative and the executive branch because there's this aura of prestige and that these people are somehow better. And
it's like church.
Yeah.
It's like, they're priests.
I think that's just a consequence of that. These people have gained so much power.
It's
when it was never meant to be that way.
Just okay. When you think of Supreme Court in your mind, you think of like the robes and I think of the pillars in front of the like buildings that they sit in, and they sit high up, and
these are the Albert Einsteins of law.
They know everything. They're treated like if you called, like, if somebody came to the United States and asked who are these people, and you called them high priests, it would. They go, okay.
Oh, you're back.
Makes sense.
Yeah. He dropped off for a second. Oh. Yeah, high priests, they look to their holy book called the Constitution, and only they know how to decipher it. So don't you try to interpret it, because we'll tell you how. And the sacred text told me that guns should be only what opinion A or opinion B. But at the end of the day, it's just right or left wing opinions. Like, they're either voting party line Republican, party line Democrat.
Yeah, dude, we need another trial. Like, dude, Supreme Court rulings are just so boring. We need another like murder. Dude, Daniel Perry, I think, is this month.
Oh, the guy who shot the Antifa guy in Austin, right?
That is right.
The Uber driver.
Yeah, dude, his murder trial's coming up.
I don't think we have any like high profile cases like Rittenhouse or Chauvin.
No.
Coming up. Kim Potter was one, but I didn't even pay attention to that one.
Oh, well. What about the guys who shot that guy in the alley? Huh?
You're breaking up.
Yeah, so are you.
Shit.
That sucks.
Okay, the guys who shot someone in the alley?
Yeah, they shot that guy in the alley, this guy and his son, and they were fighting with a neighbor over. You showed me this.
Oh, the dumpster defenders.
Yeah.
Their
trial keeps just getting delayed.
Yeah, but they're going to jail.
Well, I'm sure they are, but I want to watch that trial. And then there's the guy who shot that guy who came to get his son because he was claiming he had custody.
Oh, I think
that one's interesting because I think
that
he
one's
actually
probably
justified.
already been dismissed as justified. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Texas Castle Law, Abilene, Texas. So it's probably like The judge is like, "Yep, I see 5 of these a week."
Yeah, case closed. Let's go play golf. He probably plays golf with the judge.
Uh-huh.
All right. So we also got to talk about the truckers, right?
Yeah, this is great. So, a convoy of Canadian truckers with a GoFundMe war chest of like $8 million, something like that. It's like 10 million Canadian, but then you got to convert from monopoly money to real money. Yeah, they just drove up to Ottawa, parked their trucks, and just stopped nonstop honking. And like, we're not going to, honking isn't going to stop until freedom improves. So you better drop these vaccine mandates. And now they're blocking the the Alberta border to the U.S. So how long until the Canadians get fed up with their stocks not being shelved and their Whole Foods not having their fancy, I don't know, gluten-free bread that they're used to? Like at some point, I feel like this is going to break the Canadian will, or at least the government's will, to uphold these mandates, because they're paralyzed without these essential workers.
Yeah, the truckers have become the unsung. Maybe I'll let the next one merge. I have grown a much bigger appreciation for trucks having like empty shelves and having stuff take forever to get to. It's just the whole thing is in the trucking right now is just in crisis, and they're making it way worse with these mandates for the vaccine and saying things like you can't work if you test positive for like 2 weeks or something.
For the most socially distanced profession you can imagine. It's just you in your truck for 8 hours a day.
Well, except for what goes on at those truck stops.
That's just STDs. That's not COVID.
And sin. So anyway, like so what's been going, like, is there any more news with the convoy? I know the government is, we've seen some just really incredibly bad memes come out of this whole thing about the trucks.
This comic you're showing is satirical. I think this is meant to bait, or no, this is absolutely meant to bait people.
I think you're right. It was so bad you start to think this is a troll.
There's people who are calling these truckers domestic terrorists. So if that's your conclusion, then here's your cartoon for your belief system.
I think it might have been based. Now, tell me what you think about this one. I think it was based on. I think I actually shared one. Oh, dude, this is a good way to get like fun topics. Just
go through your feed.
Go through the Twitter feed. No, I can't. Maybe they took it down or something. But I thought it was based on another comic. I don't know. I don't think I can find it. But anyway, yeah. So how do you? So what are the people saying against the truckers? Like, what's the argument against?
They need to shut up and get vaccinated.
Yeah, aren't they?
They're being unreasonable. They're killing people.
They're blocking traffic. They don't like that.
Oh,
Suddenly blocking traffic is something they don't like.
They're trying to use like misdemeanors as justification to call these people domestic terrorists. Yeah.
And I'm sure they're finding like the worst instances of things that were caught on camera and trying to say that this is like a kind of a representation of the whole thing.
Oh yeah, you've got thousands of frustrated people in a small proximity, and a couple of them get upset with each other. You're going to have a few people butting heads.
You might even have a situation like this.
He's just pretending.
Did you see that?
I don't think we as Texans appreciate how cold it is right there right now. It's like negative.
It pretends to get hit. You see that?
Yeah.
Watch it one more time. I love it. Oh.
He may have legitimately slipped there, though. Because look how his feet come out. Like, there's just no friction.
Maybe you're right. It looks fake. It looks like a dive to me.
But he lays there hoping they run him over.
Oh, ouch. Oh. Yeah, call the police.
Help, I've fallen. I can't get up.
Well, I heard, dude,
I don't get why there's a Trump flag, a 2020 Trump flag of all things.
Yeah, well, Trump in Canada, I'm sure is one of those, like, he's kind of like a cult symbol of, like, rebelling against the woke left. I think that's kind of what Trump represents, is
fuck the establishment,
rebellion against the woke left. That's how people kind of see him.
That's the view I had of if you voted for him in 2016, you were kind of like, fuck the establishment. Fuck
yeah.
him.
Yeah. His appeal was that he, like, dude, there's a lot of things that, like, people say about Trump. Like, he's crude. He's inappropriate. He's insensitive. He lies, all this stuff, this, and that, and the other. But none of those things are the real reason why the elites didn't like him and why his voters did. He might have been all those things, but he was not one of them.
In a way, it's his presidency and then going into Joe Biden's presidency has been the best combined time of presidency for the people, because nothing can get done. Even when Trump had the Republican Congress, it's like all he could do was a tax bill. He couldn't get anything else passed. And then once the Democrats took over, it was gridlock. And then we still have gridlock today, which is perfect, because whenever these people get shit done, it's bad for us.
It's bad. It just grinds to a halt, and then we pick up the pieces from unfortunately, they're still able to pass quantitative easing pretty well. Like, they could do that whether they had control or not. So that's true. Of buttons or switches you can turn off of the government, you've turned off the only one you could. Yeah.
The ability to make new laws. All they can do is keep spending money, and they were going to do that anyways.
Yeah. Well, I hope the convoy, I'm super pro convoy, because I hate in my industry anyway, the biggest thing that's hurting us right now, and with my house, like, the biggest thing hurting us right now is the fact that we can't move shit. Yeah.
Everything's fucking expensive. Even my industry, it's like, the price of everything is going up. Concrete, steel, whatever. You just can't get this stuff. You can't get it moved around. Getting anything that's coming from overseas has got a premium on it. Inflation is
it's kicking our ass right now. Yeah.
Have you felt it at the grocery store?
Yeah. And going out to eat, it's even worse.
I don't go out to eat anymore.
Well, that's good, because going out to eat now is really expensive.
The best I can do is like Chinese takeout at this point. So like, I'll go pick it up. I won't even pay the delivery fee.
Yeah. Well, I think what happened was, so the lockdowns happened. They told everybody to go home, and, a lot of people, people like us, you could just continue to do your job at home or keep going in. But a lot of industries were shut down completely, and trucking was one of them. So all these truck drivers were sitting around going like, well, I have to keep paying my bills and everything. So they quit, and they got a new job somewhere else. And now they turn the economy switch back on. And, okay, truckers, we need you to go back to work. Nope, no thanks. I'm good. I got another job, and I'm going to keep doing that. And so there weren't any truckers. And then on top of everything, they do this stupid mandate stuff.
Limiting the pool. There's a lot of truckers who just won't go to California, and that's where the ports are.
And that's where the ports are, and that's so all of our appliances and stuff are just sitting on boats out in California because we can't go get them.
And you remember all those photos of the boats stacked up at the ports? They're still stacked up. They just moved them offshore, so you couldn't take those photos anymore.
Yeah, so I am pro convoy.
And then crazy things like train theft are coming back. Have you seen that?
No. Train theft. Hands in the air, everybody! It's a robbery.
Oh no, I got to show you. I think it's LA train theft.
The Great Train Robbery.
Yep. Here it is. Give me just a second. I gotta get to the ad. I gotta
leave the train.
I gotta get premium.
Yeah. I'm gonna get a Gulag premium account.
No, so this is people jumping onto slow moving trains or trains that are stopped and taking all the Amazon packages out of them. Here we go.
Yeah, I want to see that.
It's pretty dope.
The Great Train Robbery of 2022.
22, they're still happening.
I see what everybody's seeing and asking myself, what the hell is going on? I mean, look like a third world country, these images.
These tracks near downtown
Well, it is
Los
California.
Angeles come
Yeah.
in ransacked packages,
Third world
including
state.
everything from electronics to high-end items.
It's awful. I mean, people are expecting to receive things that are never coming and paid money for this stuff.
And
Union
then the
Pacific
white
says
is
rail
the
thefts
white
in
women
Los Angeles
complain.
County have more
Where's
than
my
doubled
Amazon
over the
package?
past year, with a spike during the holiday season.
That's all
October
boxes that
saw
have been
a
thrown out and looted.
356% increase compared to the year before. It's estimated 40% of the nation's maritime imports come through Los Angeles ports. The billions of dollars in goods then delivered nationwide by train.
If thefts increase, so does the cost of transportation, so does the cost of manufacture, which impacts the consumer.
The railroad is responsible for policing the tracks. They say their agents are making arrests, but authorities aren't doing enough to prosecute. The LA District Attorney saying 55% of the cases they received this year have resulted in felony or misdemeanor charges. Adding Union Pacific does little to secure or lock trains and has significantly decreased law enforcement staffing. Union Pacific denies this, saying it has increased security in recent months. California's governor calling it
gun
the
turrets
work
on
of
the side?
organized groups.
You need to like have guys on top with coach guns and lever actions. Just hire a bunch of cowboys.
Just yeah, they don't have to shoot anybody. They'll look intimidating as hell.
But you've already got LA, which is like a cesspool, and then all the poor people are looking for a way to make money, so they're just stealing Amazon packages off the train. They figured out, oh, this is where they're all the packages are coming from and going. So let's just jump on board, and I mean, it probably just takes a pair of bolt cutters to get in.
Yeah.
How do you stop that?
So that microwave that was delayed that you ordered, it's probably because it was stolen.
Yeah. Well, I'm optimistic, and I think this is only affecting Californians, so it's a net good. I think USPS and everyone else and FedEx like uses things by either truck or air. So I think it's just UPS and local deliveries that are getting hijacked. Not 100% on that though. I might just be wrong. But yeah, that was really interesting. Just train robberies are making a big comeback.
A train robbery.
I like how they're like the state's like, well, that's Union Pacific's job. They need to take care of that.
Yeah.
Like,
We have up security. Dude, that would be awesome if they could run security on their own trains.
like they can't shoot or arrest people. Like, what are they gonna do?
Well, they should do. They should let people just you get on the train to steal stuff.
They need to like have you need to go RoboCop and just have the big mech with the turrets. You are intruding on corporate property.
Or just rig up the sides to be like electrified.
Yeah, they go to cut the lock, but the lock's electrified.
That'd be awesome. Or Musk could get off his ass and start making some tunnels, baby.
Making underground tunnels for trains.
Yeah.
The Underground Railroad. It's making a comeback.
Wow. It's real.
Open those poor packages
amazing.
Escape California.
We're not going back. Dude, that's awesome.
It's because the boxes are brown.
Dude, I wonder if they'd hyperloop, smuggle immigrants under tunnels. Wonder if there's some tunnels running under Texas right now.
I think that's a thing. I watched Fast and Furious. They drove underground, so
yeah, man. That's how they got El Chapo. The great McAfee made a pretty good joke about Trump's wall one time. He said, "Yeah, Trump wants to build a wall between us and the greatest tunnel builders on the planet."
They do have a lot of tunnels. I think it's mostly used for human smuggling and drugs. So, what are you gonna do?
I'm not gonna do anything. Give me a gun and my property rights, and I don't care.
There you go. All right. What else?
I got. Let's see. I guess we can end with this one. I don't know. I don't think this one has sound. But we're gonna try it anyway. So check this out.
Just a quick aside. Fresh off the press, Alberta to scrap vaccine passport program, announces path to lifting almost all restrictions. So Alberta is throwing in the towel. The honking is working.
Dude, and I heard that aren't airlines going to quit on masks pretty soon?
Oh, that'd be so great. I'd cheat.
I think they've had it. Yep.
I don't wear like a traditional mask or an N95. What I get is those neck gaiters, and I put them up over my nose. And those things are like, it's like we're putting a t-shirt over your nose. You breathe just fine.
One time I actually did put like a towel over my head. This was early on when you were like, you couldn't go anywhere without a mask, and it was like really tense. Like I needed to go in and get a Chipotle burrito, and I didn't have a mask, and I'm like, well, I'm not driving home to get a mask. So I just looked in my car for anything I could use. And so I wrapped a towel around my head.
Yeah,
the
bullshit that doesn't work that everyone just accepts. The whole masking thing is a joke.
Yeah, they've admitted now that they don't work at all. Cloth masks don't work.
Yeah, but you just have to wear one for some reason.
It's too late. It's just ingrained in everything. Politics has just cemented it.
I went to the pediatrician the other day, and when I go to the doctors, I always put on like an N95 because if you have any reason to wear a mask, you're actually going to a place where there's a bunch of sick kids and who probably have bacterial diseases where a mask would matter more.
Yeah.
But I walk in with my N95 and they're like, oh, you can't wear your own mask. You have to wear one we provide. And it's one of those shitty blue cloth masks. And I'm like, are you kidding me? My mask is better. And they're like, it's just policy, sir. You can put this one underneath your mask. And I'm like, no, I'm going to offer the shittier mask. It's easier to breathe.
Just because it's an easier rule, they don't want to give them a hard like instruction, like if they've got a mask that's better than this one, they can keep wearing it. They're like,
to
no,
these
we need to make it simple.
It doesn't matter if it's retarded as long as it's consistent.
As long as it's consistent, yes.
Yeah.
as long as the monkeys that we're using to run this thing at the bottom level can follow it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's check this out, man. I gotta do it again. I don't know if there's any sound, but if there is, that's cool. So he rides up to this. It's like a bridge. It's probably Russia or something. They get out. They're coming to rob it.
You messed with the wrong mother trucker. This thing looks like an F-250, man.
I think the driver's still in the car because I saw the red light go on.
His hood starts where their roof ends.
Awesome. All right. You got anything else?
No, that's it.
All right, dude. Well, we haven't, we've been running on a hiatus. There's a lot we need to do.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot we need to do, but we'll get there. We'll get there. What can I say?
All right, man. Let's shoot again for next week.
All right, let's do it. Peace out.